Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about when your ex says, maybe one day we'll get back together.
Oh, this can leave you in an endless limbo.
Yeah, this can be cruel sometimes because you don't always know how honest that person is being about how they feel. A lot of times they are being honest. Sometimes they don't want to tell you the true truth. And a lot of times exes are hiding things at the time of the breakup. Every situation is so different. I always want to say that because it truly is. But a lot of times an ex might say to you, I just can't do this right now, but let's talk again in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
You've heard that one a lot.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, the 6 month mark is what they often
that or
recommend.
3 months.
Yeah,
3 or 6 months where they're like, we'll check in about 3 months. And then sometimes you hear from them, sometimes you don't.
And
sometimes
then,
you hear from them in an indirect direct or in weird ways. It's, yeah.
And then one of the hardest parts is that you can't, feel like you're going to stay in reaching out. You feel like I'm going to reach out on that date.
Because we were supposed to do this or that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that today because we do hear this often in breakups.
Mm-hmm. And you have to remember that breaking up itself is a really difficult thing to do. You know, it can feel like cutting off your own arm sometimes. It can feel like, losing that support intentionally when you feel like you need to go through this breakup. So for your ex, them saying, well, maybe one day we can get back together, or in 6 months, let's check in. It's their way of ending the relationship, but still having a bit of something to lean on, still having some kind of connection to you without having to say, we are done completely for the rest of time, because that can be a really scary and daunting thing even for them who are doing the breaking up.
It's like a safety net for them.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it can be something that makes them feel a little bit more secure of going through with it. It's just like when you're going shopping and then you put something in your cart, but you don't fully go to the checkout line yet. You don't want to fully make that decision. And so you leave it in the cart, but then you're kind of still walking around. There's like that maybe one day, maybe I still have time to decide fully. It could happen again. I'm going to leave just a crack in the door open just in case I change my mind here and just in case my situation changes.
Yeah, they're walking around that store looking for something better that they might like more, but they got it in the cart so no one else can get it.
Yep.
So,
and it puts you in a really difficult position because this is not clarity. This is the complete opposite of clarity. It's ambiguity. It's a lot of confusion. You don't really know what move to make because you're thinking, well, what if we do check in 6 months? Or what if one day happens to be sooner and then I wasn't prepared for that? Or now I'm in another relationship that I don't really want to be in the meantime, but I really want to be with my ex and I want my ex back.
Yep.
So this can put you in quite a predicament, and also thinking emotionally what this does to you as well. It kind of leaves you in an emotional limbo, and it can be hard to move past that to say, okay, well, are we going to get back together? Are we not? It leaves you questioning, and that can lead to a cycle of anxiety and overanalyzing each thing they say and each thing they do during and after the breakup. So this can feel like a lot of psychological pressure. And to understand this dynamic, you also have to understand why they leave it open-ended. I know we had mentioned kind of keeping you in the cart, maybe not being ready to fully end that relationship and feel like they're severing that connection. But there could also be a level of guilt that we talked about with how honest are they being with, hey, this is a breakup right now. Are they adding that piece of maybe one day to kind of soothe you through the breakup or not?
It's like part of them feels like they mean it, but they also aren't sure.
Yeah.
So they're kind of conflicted in some ways too.
And another situation that I see often too is, especially in the younger crowd, when you hear this of maybe one day, it might be that feeling of, well, my peers are out there exploring, dating, becoming independent. How do I know what I want? I'm still very young. This is a great connection, but I don't know what else is out there. So how can I say that I really want to be with you if I don't know what else is out there? That could be what's going on in the mind of some people out there. Not saying that that's necessarily the right way of thinking all of the time, but these things do happen as developmental stages pass. They might want to have that experience of stepping out into the world and experiencing what that is like, much like a child will go and explore the world and venture off from their secure base, aka their parent, and kind of look back and always feel like they can go back to that. The difference is this is an adult relationship, and you don't have to be on the hook for someone else endlessly. You're not their caregiver. You don't have to be holding their tail or holding their leash here either. So
If they're having a tail, that's a whole nother story.
hey, we're open to anybody here. We're inclusive. They might have a tail or a leash. And so my point here is that just because somebody else is ambiguous or kind of leaves this door open doesn't mean that you have to be stuck in that too. We want to empower you and encourage you to be able to make decisions and move forward and have that closure for yourself. And be able to assess your situation and see, okay, is this something that's worth revisiting or repairing? What are the issues that we're dealing with? We have tons of videos on our channel about why breakups happen, different types of breakups. But in this video particularly, we're talking about that feeling of being on the hook, waiting for somebody to come around when they specifically give you those words of, hey, maybe one day or in 6 months.
Yeah, they're confused as well. The difference is that they feel like they have the power. When you're feeling powerless and you're feeling like hopeless or helpless, that's a completely different feeling of, I'm making this decision, but maybe I'll come around to it later. Maybe I'll be open to it later. I mean, just think of how that feels when I'm saying it, right? If you're the person that says, I don't know, maybe we could get back together in the future. You're feeling like it's a possibility. I'm open to it. I would consider it, but right now I'm making this decision. I'm going to stick to it. There's not that doesn't feel helpless. That doesn't feel hopeless. That doesn't feel like you're waiting around. You're kind of like, I'll make this decision one day, right? But for you, it's like, when might that happen? Will it ever happen? I don't know. I guess I should wait around and not do anything and not move on with my life. So it can be completely different experience. And so it's hard to understand it because, not everybody has the same level of integrity as other people in a breakup, right? Like some people have a lot of integrity. Some people don't. Some people will mislead you on purpose. Some people won't. But breakups are often hard for the dumper as well. It's hard to believe it when you're going through it. And yes, it's a lot of different feelings, like I just gave that example. But they often are confused and conflicted. And then they have to hear their friends and their family, oh, we really like so-and-so. He's such a good guy. Why would you walk away? He treats you so good. They're going to hear all those things. And it's going to linger in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
So they're not sure if they want it to be permanent or not either. And so following through with the decision and sticking to it is not easy for them as well. But every situation is so unique, right? Like if you were the one that neglected your partner or didn't listen to the things that they asked you to work on, they may be hoping that you're going to change. And maybe there's some optimism on their part that you're going to work on yourself, that you're going to change and that the relationship can be healthier. But for the dumpy, it really can hinder your ability to process, to heal, to let go, and kind of move forward.
So if you're in this situation, remind yourself that them saying, well, maybe one day, but still saying this is the end of our relationship is still them making a decision to not be with you actively right now. Just to go back to the shopping cart example, I'm not the biggest fan of analogies with shopping and people as things and objects, but let's roll with it. So let's say you do go up to the cashier and you're saying, okay, it rolls down the little, what is that, conveyor belt? Goes down the little conveyor belt and the cashier looks at you and they're like, okay, it's $3.99. And you just say to the cashier, well, I'm not really sure if I want this, maybe later. I don't really know if I want to check out yet. maybe in like 6 months, the cashier would look at you crazy. The cashier would say, okay, are you paying for this or not? Get out of line. We got a lot of other customers here. What are you doing? Right? So not that there's
You're
always
just staring at the item that's on the edge of the conveyor belt all the way
Yeah.
to the left.
So not that there's necessarily that same
Don't be
level of
you don't want that to be you. The
Yeah.
item all the way to the left of the conveyor belt. You always see them every time you go grocery shopping.
Yeah. And so not that there's this level of urgency all the time, right? Where you have to make a decision right now, and not to suggest that, but your time is valuable. Your affection is valuable. Your love is valuable.
You need to get back on the shelf,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
someone else can buy you if they're interested.
God, these object analogies. But my point here is that yes, your time is valuable, and them making that decision right now is where they stand right now, and we have to come to an acceptance of that in the moment, right? The maybe one day, the speculations, the what could be, all of these are not as concrete, and it's possible. Life has so much uncertainty, right? But we have to be able to value ourselves now in this moment too, to say, okay, I hear that as a decision, and I have to make a decision here in my life as to, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to take this in as a part of my healing. So you don't want to be treated as an option. It's not nice to be treated as an option or feel like an option. And they might be ambivalent, but we don't have to be, right? Meaning we can't force somebody to be in a relationship with us, but we can decide, okay, I'm not going to be investing so much of my mental energy on this potential reuniting day, right? That they're saying.
Yep.
I'm going to focus on what's at hand, what's in front of me, what's happening now.
It's very easy to get stuck on that, 6 months from now date, because they said it and maybe they did mean it at the time, but then they often move forward in a different way because they were the dumper, right? So they may meet somebody 5 months later, and at month 6, you're expected to hear from them, and you're devastated when you look at their social media and you see they're dating somebody else, and they just started dating 3 weeks ago, and you're like, wait, I thought we were going to talk in 3 weeks. Things like that happen. So that's why we always try and tell you guys, you have to kind of process, move forward, and kind of let them go to get them back, right? Because oftentimes they come back at a different time than they expected or when they thought they would. A lot of things happen in a breakup, and it very rarely goes the exact way that you think it will in your mind. And we were just talking about this before we were filming this one, because it's so true with life. It very rarely goes the way you think it will.
Yeah. And we can prepare, we can work on our emotional and mental health as much as we can to put us in the best position. But ultimately, there's a lot of uncertainty and unexpectedness that happens next, right? So with these kind of pending things in the future, we have to take those things with a grain of salt and look at the reality now.
All right. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you'd like to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.